So what are the real problems with the 2024 Toyota Tacoma? You know, you hear a lot of talk and chatter out there about engine problems and transmission problems, reliability, quality. I'm here to tell you, as a real 2024 Tacoma owner, that's all a bunch of BS. It's either competitors, jealous people, or those who are just miserable and bitter. But what are the real concerns, the real problems with the 2024 Toyota Tacoma? Number one, the biggest one, and everybody could agree, and I think this is true no matter what model you're driving, but that is pricing. Obviously, there was a bit of sticker shock when Toyota first announced the pricing for the 2024 Tacoma, and it is more expensive. Can't argue that. Is it worth it? Well, that all depends on you, I guess, on whether or not you think the improvements that Toyota made to the Tacoma are worth the increased price. Me personally, maybe almost, not quite. I think they went a little bit overboard on the pricing, but obviously when they came out with this new truck with more power, with a better transmission, with better looks, arguably, better tech, I think so. Not quite as much as they're asking for it, but pricing is negotiable, especially now. You can get anywhere from, I think, around $2,000 to I've heard as high as $6,000 off the price. So maybe not as big of a concern as it was initially. Number two, the gas tank. It is a smaller gas tank. And this goes along with number three. The fuel economy wasn't the big bump, I think, that we all thought or hoped that Toyota was going to accomplish with the new Tacoma, right? I mean, I'm getting about 2 or 3 more miles per gallon. That's it. Of course, it depends on where you drive and how you drive and all of that. Most of my driving is just city type stuff. So obviously my fuel economy is not going to be as good as if I was on the freeway. But nonetheless, apples to apples, I drove my other Tacomas the same way. Fuel economy is not that great. And I've got a smaller gas tank, which means I get to make trips to the gas station more often. Too bad it's not like the Tesla over here and I could have a gas pump in my garage. I suppose I could, but no way. Number three I mentioned was fuel economy. It really could be better. Even the hybrids are not that much better. Kind of disappointing, I think. If one of the real concerns or problems with the new Tacoma. Number four, the loss of previously standard or included options, of course, dependent upon what your trim level is, right? Like, number one, power seats. When I got out of my last Tacoma, the third gen, it was a TRD off-road. It was that lime green color. Really loved the looks of that truck. It grew on me after I got it. I did like it initially. It just glistened when I walked to it up on the dealership lot. But anyway, it came with power seats as standard for that trim level. Toyota took that away. Now, with the TRD trim level, they're not standard. You get to pay extra. In other words, you get to go up in package if you want power seats. It's not that big of a concern for me. I don't really care because I'm the only one that drives the truck. So when I sit the seats or set the seats where I want it to be or seat where I want it to be, I never change it. So it's not like it really matters. The only issue I have with the manual seats in this truck is every time I get in and out, I've talked about this before, my rear end slides across that lever that raises and lowers the seat. Of course, it puts pressure on it and it lowers the seat. So every time I get in, every time I get out, I'm lowering the seat. Kind of a hassle. I need to figure out something to do about that. Number two, a full-size spare. Now we have this cheapo, I don't even know if it would get me from where I was stranded 2 miles down the road, but this cheapo donut spare tire. Something that I need to change. I'm not comfortable with it. I certainly wouldn't want to be on a long distance trip out in the middle of nowhere and have to depend on that tire to get me somewhere. I'm sure it probably would, but it just doesn't feel good. And for you off-roaders out there, let's say you're out in the middle of nowhere and you blow a tire. Is that tire going to be able to withstand the conditions that you're in? You know, jagged things, ruts, all that kind of stuff to get you back to civilization to fix the tire. I think if you are a big time off-roader and you're using the new Tacoma for that, you probably ought to go ahead, pony up, and get a real tire to stick underneath there. Number 3, the bed cubby. They got rid of the bed cubby. You know, Toyota's been phasing that thing out for a while. It used to be we had a big one on this side and we had a small one on that side, or vice versa. Now we don't have any. It's gone. Of course, it's dependent again upon trim level. When I had my TRDs in the past, they always had those until they got rid of the one, but at least I had one. Now I don't have any. They took it away. Number 4, the metal front skid plate or gravel guard, whatever you want to call it. It's one of the cheapest things other than the spare tire that Toyota has done with the 2024 Tacoma. If you don't know what I'm talking about, take a look underneath your truck. Unless you have a Pro or maybe the Trail Hunter, you've got this kind of fiber cloth kind of looking thing, and it's not a skid plate. Toyota does not call it a skid plate. It is a gravel guard. It's supposed to keep gravel from bouncing up under your truck. And I'm sure there's no issue with that. The problem is if it's anything bigger that's bouncing up under your truck, you're probably going to have a problem. Or if you go across something, maybe an outcrop of rocks or a tree branch or something that's laying in the trail, it's probably going to damage that and might go right through it. So it really affords you little, if any, protection against things other than gravel, I guess. And it's interesting. I had somebody comment on the channel, you don't take your truck off-road anyway. What does it matter? Well, you ever drive down the road and have a chunk of wood or maybe a big rock, piece of concrete, piece of metal? It wouldn't withstand that. I'm talking about on the freeway. You know, a while back, my brother, he had a Corvette. He came home and discovered a piece of metal stuck through the fiberglass front end of his Corvette. It'd do the same thing with this cheapo cloth/plastic fiber thing under there. I don't know why they did it, obviously to save money, but not a good thing. Lastly, number 5, there are no mirror turn signals in this truck. Again, I know it's dependent upon trim level, but I always had them in the past on my TRD versions. Now I don't have them at all. I will say it did make going to a different cover for the mirror. I made mine black, not body color matched anymore. It made that easier because I didn't have to screw around with that little turn signal in there. But nonetheless, I kind of liked it. It was a fun mod. Remember, you could black it out, smoke it if you wanted to. Plus, you still had the light. Looked pretty cool. And I would think for Toyota, you know how they always tout safety, that having a turn signal in each of the mirrors is more safe than not having one. So not really sure why they took it out, at least in the higher trim levels. Anyway, those are really the few things that are of any concern or issue with the new Tacoma. Otherwise, it is an awesome truck. I love mine. I've said in many other videos, it's definitely a step above what we had in the Gen 3. It's not to say that it's better per se, it's just a step up. They've added more things, made things better, gave us more torque, more power, a little bit better fuel economy. We'll find out about reliability, but so far the quality of the truck seems to be spot on. Anyway, leave a comment, let me know. Other than the engine, I don't want to hear about the 4-cylinder turbo. What did Toyota take away that maybe was standard that you miss? I'd be curious to know. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.